going around the world fast enough so that our centrifugal force balanced the force of gravity, so that we're floating. It's like free fall. And that first bit of free fall was a lot of fun. We unstrapped from our seats, took the seat belts off, shoulder straps off, and unhooked everything and went to a window, because the most fascinating thing in the world was going by underneath us, and that's the Earth, and we could see it going by. As a matter of fact, that was such a good scene that we really didn't get back on our checklist very fast. We're too busy looking at the Earth. Mission Control had to tell us, you better get back on your checklist and get things done, because we needed to go faster to go to the moon, so we needed to make another maneuver before we go to the moon, and we needed to do that as quickly as we could. So actually they got us back working, and it was fine, but floating around is a lot of fun.
Was that the most incredible view of your lifetime?
No, not really. I was in lunar orbit for 6 days, and I went around the moon 75 times. And every time I came around the backside of the moon, I watched the Earth rise, and that's the most incredible thing you can see out there. Because the Earth is, from the moon, the Earth is about the same size as the moon is from here. It's not that much bigger. You can cover it with your thumb. So you look back at the Earth and you realize how far away you are, and but it's colorful. The Earth's the only thing in the universe, or only thing in the solar system that we know that has color. Yeah. So it's kind of nice to see. That's probably the best picture or view I had during the flight.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. My next question. Can you elaborate on your quote? Now I know why I'm here, not for a closer look at the moon, but to look back at our home, the Earth.
Well, you know, we went to the moon to explore. We went to the moon to find out what the moon is all made of. We went to the moon to figure out how it got there and why it's there, and all that kind of stuff. Looking at volcanoes and looking at meteor impacts and all that. But the most spectacular sight of all was looking back at the Earth. So it just kind of turned. It just kind of felt to me like a better thing on our flight was seeing the Earth far away than it was watching the moon close up. And of course, here's where we live, and this is the thing we need to protect. We don't need to protect the moon, but we need to protect this place. And all the problems that we got here on Earth need to get resolved, so we can, kind of sustain the Earth as long as possible. That's why Earth is really important when you're looking back on it from so far away. That you realize that hey, it's our lifeboat. It's the place we live. It's something that we need to protect.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
Do you mind if my friends ask you a few questions?
Yeah. No. Come on in. Whoever's going to ask
Thank
next.
you.
Oh, I'm nervous. All right.
You guys are great. You have to write your questions down, or you'd forget them.
Yeah. All right. So my first question is, how much do you think that space technology has improved since your mission to space?
I think it's improved somewhat. I think it could be a lot better. We've kind of taken a downturn in the study of science, technology, engineering, and math over the past 10, 15 years, and we don't have as many scientists and technicians and engineers as we could have if we had been on that before. I think there's some miraculous things going on in the space business. I think SpaceX, as a matter of fact, with Elon Musk, he actually can recover the first stage of a booster now and land it back on land. And his plan is to land it back on a launch pad. So all he's got to do is refuel it and go again. That's going to be pretty miraculous when he gets that done. That's the kind of thing that the government has a hard time doing, because private industry cuts through all of the red tape and all the complicated things to get the job done, and they do the job really well. They got some really, really good people working for them. I tell you that. I mean, you guys are in a perfect spot. SpaceX average age of the workforce is about 27. So I'm going to say that the average workforce in space and in Blue Origin for Amazon, somewhere around 26, 27. What's that? Maybe 3 years out of college, something like that. But they're the workforce. They're the future, and you guys are going to be right in there in a few years doing the same thing. I would think. So I think, in fact, that's why I'm here, is to promote STEM, because we've kind of fallen off. I think all countries have kind of fallen off on STEM. Here in the UAE, it's become very important. In fact, I hear more about STEM here than I do back home. So I think these people, I think over here, that's gotten to be a very important subject. It's getting to be more important in Europe. It's getting to be more important in the U.S. because we're starting to focus on it and talk about it a lot. But we've gone through a period of less importance for STEM training, and so a lot of college students have drifted away from it, and we need to get that turned around and get back to it.
Would you say right now it's moving in the right direction?
I think we're moving in the right direction. I'd like to see it go faster, of course. But the thing about space is we got lots of time. Things can happen. We can have downturns. We can have upturns. The pipeline for STEM is pretty long pipeline. I mean, you start here in high school, and by the time you get to college, you're another 3 years out, and then you're 4 years in college. So we're talking 7, 8 years before you as students get out of college in the STEM courses. So the timeline for developing a good STEM, let's say an engineer, is 6, 7, 8 years, something like that. So we got to look ahead. We got to figure all that out. But it's getting turned around. I see it beginning to move again now, and kids your age are more interested in space and in the hard sciences, rather than being a lawyer or an accountant or something like that. I see a lot of interest in space.
All right, interesting.
Yeah.
And my last question is, what are your sort of thoughts on extraterrestrial life? Do you think it exists? And
All right. I'm not sure whether I really want to tell you what I think, because I might shock you. I have been asked many, many times, have I seen anything out there? And the answer is no. And then the next question is, do I believe there are aliens, or what we would call aliens? And I say, yeah, I do. And they say, have you ever seen one? And I said, yeah, I have. I have seen aliens. I've seen one in particular every time I get up in the morning and look in the mirror. Because I do believe we probably came from somewhere else. See, to me, the whole purpose of the space program is to develop a capability to go somewhere else when we can't live here anymore. The grand imperative of anything alive here on Earth is survival of the species. I don't care what it is, grass, trees, animals, people, whatever. Anything that's biologically alive has an imperative of survival of the species. And I don't think people are any different from that. So I see the space program as a way of developing the capability to go somewhere else when we can't live here. We know that the sun is going to burn out someday. I mean, that's a fact. There's no question about that. That may be 1 billion years, or maybe 3 billion, or maybe 100,000. I don't know what that is. But when the sun stops burning, and we're all going to disappear. I mean, the Earth and all the planets in the solar system are going to be gone. So we're going to have to find another place to live. And I do believe, even though it's a very, very long-term program, it's 1,000 years, 10,000 years, whatever, that the whole space program is oriented towards giving us the capability to go somewhere else. And then you think about that a little bit, and you say, well, you know, there could be somebody out there that's 1 million years advanced on us. So maybe that's how we got here. So you can turn it all around. Okay?
all right, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks. Next.
I got one question.
Clinic or something.
All right.
Okay. I only have 2 questions.
Okay.
What are your most memorable experiences?
My most memorable experience on the flight was when I did a spacewalk on the way home. Got outside about 195,000 miles out, and went to the back of the service module, which is our thing that had all of our propulsion and electronics, that kind of thing. And in there I had 2 cameras, and the film on those cameras had to be recovered, so I had to go out and get the canisters. And so I was able to go outside, about 196,000 miles out and 50,000 miles this side of the moon. And that's probably the neatest part of the flight for me, because I could stand up on the outside and I could see both the Earth and the moon at the same time. So that was pretty spectacular. I like that.
What are your least memorable experiences?
Least memorable, living in a small spacecraft with two other guys. We had 220 cubic feet of volume to live in, which is about the size of a Volkswagen. Pretty small. And so if you're tied up in a Volkswagen for 2 weeks with two other guys, it gets pretty boring after a while. You know, that's probably the thing you think of the least. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So my questions are a bit more
All right.
lighthearted.
Come on. Lay it on me.
What was the food like in space?
What's it feel like in space?
What is the food like? What did you eat?
Oh, the food.
Yeah.
See, all I can say is it's government food. I don't know what that means at City. It kept us alive. It was okay. We had mostly freeze-dried food, and I know around a lot today you see Astronaut ice cream. It's dry powdery stuff. You put it in your mouth, that becomes ice cream again. That's what our freeze-dried food was like. You have to put water in it and knead it and make it come back. We also had a supply of hamburgers and hot dogs and roast beef and sliced turkey breast. We had some cheese cubes, stuff like that were not freeze-dried that we could eat too. But the food, I mean, in space you eat the food to stay alive. You don't live for the food.
Yeah. And then there's a group of people called flat earthers.
Flat Earth people?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I know all about them.
From personal experience, can you confirm that the Earth is actually round?
Well, I went around it a bunch of times. If it was flat, that would be pretty tough to do, I gotta tell you. The Flat Earth people are interesting because they don't want to believe in facts. And they're the same kind of people that think all the aliens come out of the center of the Earth and they come up through the North Pole and they come down to visit us. See, they think they all go in and out of the North Pole. And I have met with a lot of the groups that believe all those kind of things, and they're a little funny. They're a little funny. They don't like to believe in what's real. They have their conspiracy theories that they like to follow, and everybody likes that, I guess. Okay.
All right.
Anybody else?
Thank you so
Is
much.
that it?
Thank you so
All
much.
right.